So warm. Probably a little bit too warm to open right now. Yeah, I'd say I can't open this. It's too hot right now. Hello everyone, my name is DreadKyller, and today I have this kind of interesting thing in front of me. I don't know how to classify it, so I'm just gonna call it a thing. I think it would be kind of an interesting idea for map makers to be able to use this. I hope to be using this sometime soon in a map that I plan on creating with a friend. It's very simple to do. It's essentially inside of the chest is actually there, and the fire you see around it is actually a falling sand entity with the tile ID set to 51 or fire, and it creates this kind of effect. Now, there are a few crucial parts of this that you need to make sure you comply with, otherwise you'll get some really glitchy artifacts out of it. First off, I'm just going to note that since it's a falling sand entity, the texture is repeated on all 6 sides, which means that there's also a texture on the top. Since I can't click on the chest, I can't place a block there either, at least not like that, so I have to go up here and place the block. Also, there needs to be a solid block or a transparent block below it, so that's something that the actual falling sand entity can land on. If there's no block, the falling sand entity is going to go like that, and you're going to have a lot of issues. And let's see if I can... You can't really get back without stopping it, so... There we go. It can be a transparent block, it can be a slab. So if I were to real quickly... It can work like that as well. It just needs to be a block that it can land on. It can't be something like a torch, but obsidian. Now this entire thing is being ran by one command block, and as you see I can turn it on and off, which means this could be used as a feature in a custom map to lock a chest. Now of course in 1.8 they have the actual locked the chests with the locked NVT tag, which is kind of interesting. But this is a different way of locking chests that kind of makes the chest completely uninteractable, and it can be unlocked by just activating a redstone event, which could be at the end of a boss fight, for example, or if you complete some side quest or mini mission. It kind of reminds me of some of the Zelda-themed boss fights. So, the entire command block that's being ran here is this right here. I'm going to copy it and just put it into the chat so you can read it easier. So I'm basically summoning a falling sand entity 3.5 blocks above. The half is very important. If you do not have the half block, it will actually be halfway in the ground, because falling sand entities are centered around the center point of the block, while blocks are actually centered around the top part of the block, which is, or the bottom part of the block. Either way, it's just really glitchy. You don't want to mess around with that too much. So, since here's 0 for the block, 1, 2, 3 would be right here at the bottom of this one, or the top of this obsidian, and that's where it would place the center of the falling sand entity, which would only make half the block appear. So you need to add the extra 0.5. So then I'm setting the tile ID to 51. The data doesn't matter. I have it to 1 for something because I copied the command from something else where I was using leaves. Drop item 0, that way it doesn't spew out the item. If I set this to 1, you'll see what happens in a second. I'm not sure it'll actually do anything with fire. Yes, it does. There you go. It spews out the fire items. Hey, there's a way to get fire now. But gonna set that back because that's not a good thing. And the last part of it is the time equals -1. Now, I think this is a little bit buggy. When you put it to -1, it's supposed to make a falling sand entity despawn immediately. But if I paste it here and I do it, you're going to see that it does not despawn. It goes all the way down to the ground, which is not supposed to happen. So I do think that is a little bit buggy right now. Essentially, a falling sand entity, once it gets below 0 for the time, despawns. So I don't know what to say about that, but that's supposed to be working. But either way, when you play the command in and then you pulse it once every other tick, you get this effect. Now, it only works with certain blocks. Certain blocks will make it really glitchy. If I were to, for example, put a mob head in here, oops, you'll see what I mean by getting glitchy. I have no idea why some blocks work and some blocks don't, but apparently they do. Torches and most transparent blocks seem to work very well. This, can you see? If I were to take a solid block like stone and put it there, then you have some issues with the Z fighting. The textures get glitched, so not that good. I found this specific fire to work kind of good with glass. Besides some small Z fighting, it kind of looks like the fire is inside the glass, which is also a kind of cool effect. But I like it more when the fire is actually around a block, and that works with some blocks. It works with chests, it works with anvils, and it works with hoppers. And besides that, it doesn't really work with too many blocks because of the Z fighting issue. As you see, there's already some Z fighting here, depending on where you're looking. And same with the hopper. On the top, there's a little bit of Z fighting. It basically works with any block that does not take up the full 1x1 block area. So that's why a chest works almost perfectly. And because it's a falling sand entity, you cannot open or interact with the chest. Now, if I am to set this falling sand entity to ID of 50, we create a little bit of a different scenario. In this case, we don't see anything. And I still cannot interact with the chest. So, 51 is a better graphical reason why you can't interact with the chest, but if you just want to prevent the players from interacting with the chest, summoning a falling sand entity with either ID 50 or the ID of string when it's on the ground works really well. You cannot interact with the chest. So, and there's one other thing I want to show you, kind of using a similar idea with the falling sand entities. This one's going to be spawning 2 different leaf blocks, and you can kind of see like spike there. Kind of gives a kind of interesting effect. It kind of looks like vines are growing down a pole. So this can be used aesthetically in a build but the only issue that I'm seeing here is that because the leaves are colored by the biome when they're in a block form, the falling sand entity does not render the colors of them because the actual texture is black and white. So there's that little issue there. Besides that, it is a really cool effect. I'm going to be fooling a little bit more around with falling sand entities and seeing what other things I can figure out and come up with. I'm not sure if this has been shown on YouTube before, to be honest. I personally wasn't able to find anything when I searched for it, but that does not mean that someone else hasn't come up with it already, because, I mean, face it, there's millions of people on Minecraft. The chances of anything you find being newish, or new or new-ish, is almost 0. So, but either way, I just find it to be a cool idea. let me just set this back to fire. Ah, warm. Well, that's about it for this video, so I'll see you all next time. Bye.